saying? Gotta do it hella big, had to run it back again. Light it up. Gotta do it.
Oh, snap! Welcome to the Marvel Snapcast podcast, episode 103. And today, we talking OTA and patch, Merlin review, LaFay review, season card preview, Golden Gauntlet 2, and comments from the last pod. Alright guys, I am your co-host, the top 5 best snappers in the world. Cino, cause I snapped that hot fire, you heard? And I rep that power on all day. And we got your other co-host. He giving you that strategical and analytical views, the brainiac of the crew. He is the president of the Pikachu party, the king of the epic sass party. It's Guest Gaming. And last but not least, of course, we got the variant god. He the infinitiest player in the game. He got every variant. Every variant? Every variant. The super tech god. Let's go.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to Cino with the intro. We are here. We're alive. Of course, I'm your host, the one and only the super tech guy, the gentleman with every variant in the game. Every variant?
Every variant?
Every variant. That's right. Every variant. And we're here, of course, with other co-host, the one and only, it's Guest Gaming, Mr. Epic Sax Party himself in the flesh. And of course, we have the one and only, the gentleman of all gentlemen, Gunny T, the wonderful, wonderful person that can...
T?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's say, yeah, tournament.
Yep.
Yeah, what does the T stand for this time? Because it keeps changing. It was tournament, T for...
we are so tired because of how much
Gunny
we're
tired.
That's
yes,
good. I like that.
I'm fair with that. Gunny tired. I'm cool with that.
Yes. So, of course, you guys know we have the Golden Gauntlet coming up. We'll talk about that later in the show. But, of course, let's go ahead and kick things off with this wonderful OTA that just happened a few hours ago, I believe. Right? So we kick things off with the June 5th OTA, which the star of that OTA is one and only Ultron, Infinity Ultron. So Infinity Ultron was a 5'8". He is now a 5'6". And all his wonderful stones, I know this is something that guests have been praying for, have went from a 3 cost to a 2 cost. So we have the Power Stone, Reality Stone, Time Stone, Infinity Space Stone, Soul Stone, and the Mind Stone all going to 2 costs. How do I feel about this change? I like it, except I believe they could have kept Infinity Ultron at a 5'7" versus a 5'6". How do you feel about that, guess?
I mean, I originally wanted this with Infinity Ultron to be a 4-5. So to take a 5'6", it's not a bad hit. It just brings him back to what he released as, where we all said the same thing. He's a cool card, but 3 cost stones are clunky. I can't wait for these to be 2 cost. And then they first said, yeah, let's try the 5'8". And we said it even here on the podcast. The play pattern didn't change. It was just as clunky. And I had proposed something similar, put it out into the magical world, and sure enough, they took certain pieces of that, like the 2 cost. But I still can't believe how good the stones got outside of just reducing the cost, because all of the stones either had their cost reduced 1 or their cost reduced 1 and got more power.
Yes.
And I was not expecting that, especially from the Space Stone, which went from a 3-4 to a 2-5. And that is a huge difference all by itself. Huge difference.
Agreed. I mean, listen, those stones need the love, right? Because you're not going to get all of them every time. Unlike Thanos, where you're going to have those stones in your deck. At least this is random. So it's like, you know, if you get the 2-5, you're happy at that point. And especially the Infinity Stone wasn't like the favorite one all the time. Like move the lowest power enemy to the location. Making it a 2-5, that is phenomenal. So I totally get that change. Gunny, how do you feel about the change for Infinity Ultron?
I think Guest hit the nail on the head there. The important part isn't that Infinity Ultron lost 2 power, because he didn't. He made that up and some from his stones. I mean, look at the stones here. A lot of them are either on rate or above rate. And even the ones that are below rate, a 2-1 reality stone that put the drone there, that's really good. The other one, that the 2-1 power stone that doubles Infinity Ultron's power, like all these cards are good. and really the 2/5, the Space Stone being the worst one from before, getting that love.
Yeah.
Like that's a big piece. These cards aren't going to feel so bad to play anymore. Like the worst ones that used to feel bad to play are at least either on rate or above rate.
Okay, that's fair. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Now let's go on to a card that I don't think needed any change, but it is Giganto or Giganto, however you want to
I
pronounce
was
it.
about to say, who?
Who
Who is Giganto?
Some people pronounce it Giganto or
Who?
Giganto. Everyone. What do you mean who? It's not just me.
I've heard Giganto. Because
Giganto.
Namor, Giganto. I've heard that,
Right.
but not
You never heard
Giganto.
Giganto?
I mean, I didn't think you could make that more white, but you did.
Think
And
about
I'm
it.
impressed.
GI is Guy. GAN, Gan. And then TO. Giganto. There it is.
I don't know if I can buy that. That's bad.
Okay, so your new name is Supert Etch Gode.
If you
I'm
want to
doing the
do it
exact
that way,
same thing.
that's totally fine. So Giganto, whatever you want to call it, guys, went from a 614 to a 616. Now, it is what it is. That's great. I'm happy for this. This is great for Dracula Dump. It's great for Giganto to get more play. Sorry, I'm going to say Giganto before you guys lose your mind today.
Thank you.
It's great for Giganto to get more play in this wonderful meta we have right now. My only concern, my only issue with this is, of course,
I'm waiting for it.
another
I'm waiting for it.
6-cost card gets
There it is.
another additional buff and power. And my wonderful friend that I'm not going to mention still gets no love. And you know, I think Second Din is doing this on purpose. And I'm coming for you guys. I swear, I'm going to start putting out tweets day one of Infinite not getting buffed. But
It better have
Giganto.
It better have
gets
hashtag
love.
and hashtag Infinite 25 power.
Even better, yes. But nonetheless, I'm happy for this card now. Dracula Dumps get better. That left lane gets more power, whatever it is. How you feel about it, guess? Giganto.
So
616.
before talking about Giganto, I have to do something which I really don't truly do, but I'm going to because it's you all here. I'm going to stroke my own ego on this one.
Okay, go ahead.
Because
just
the
don't
fact
do it
that
on
this
screen.
specifically said that for the 3 changes that we're going to list, they specifically called out that these 3 cards were not played in the Golden Gauntlet.
Correct.
And the reason they even knew that was because I put out a tweet with the list and literally handed it on a silver platter and said, these cards nobody took into the tournament. And then Second Dinner went, well, that just made our job easier. Here, we're going to take this one, and this one, and we're going to change these 3 and make them better to give them some love.
I thought you worked at Second Dinner. Did you just give this to your boss?
Exactly.
Shh.
Employee of the decade. Come on.
Quiet. Shh, quiet. But like, no, but for real though, like the Golden Gauntlet tournament actually had an impact on the cards of Marvel Snap. Like they made changes to cards because of tournament play. And I'm going to stroke my ego on putting that tweet out. But more importantly than that, the fact that they are recognizing tournament play as having some relevance to the overall shape of the meta of Marvel Snap is a huge and promising factor for the future of those events. That Second Dinner is paying attention. And we'll talk in super detail about it later. But like, I thought that was incredibly cool that they shouted that out repeatedly. And they released all of these notes before it officially went live just earlier before we started recording this. They released these notes early to the community so people could start theory crafting with the changes that would go live before decks needed to be submit for Golden Gauntlet 2. Like,
that was on Tuesday, right?
Yeah. It's so
New
cool
season refresh
to see how behind all of this they are. And Giganto getting that love is a perfect example of that because it makes total sense. You can only play him in one lane, so he better be really good and be better than an Orca. So yeah, I like it.
On that note, with the tournament thing, it's really cool to see that they're willing to change, right? So they went from really not supporting competitive play at all to now making in-game decisions for it. It's a really cool place that they're willing to like experiment with, and I don't think we're going to see the end anytime near. Now, my take on a Giganto, I got a question for you guys. So In the War Machine list with the Infinite, obviously the Infinite is awesome, but there are those times where you just don't draw the Infinite. How important are those 4 points if instead you played a Giganto in that deck just for the option to be able to play it in that left lane if you needed to because you didn't draw your War Machine?
Well, based on the RNG-ness of this wonderful game, sometimes that left lane won't be playable, right? So the restriction sucks. If they made Giganto a ongoing card, then for sure this would be amazing, especially with Sauron, right? So for me, I just think it is somewhat a better option, but in this day and age, things can still get bigger than the Giganto at 616.
I think like you think of like the Black Knight decks where you're constantly deciding, is it Infinite and what? Are you going Magneto? Because then it gives you flexibility of not only being able to play it, but how the effect works. Or do you go for the 2 extra points of power at 614 to go Giganto? Now at 616, I think you justify not putting Magneto anymore because that's a 4-point difference to lose the effect versus a 2-point difference. And that does have a major standpoint, at least with me. I think that definitely replaces that in the deck. In Hella decks, it becomes relevant again as the other 6-drop option rather than your Red Hulk. Even you start reconsidering, is Red Hulk worth it, because you need to get 3 procs of that Red Hulk to work, and now you have a guaranteed 616. So I think there's something to be said about Giganto at 616 that's, you know, really incredibly strong and should not be slept on.
Okay. Gunny answered your questions?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. We're going to Omega Red. Now, this card, again, due to the Golden Gauntlet, decided to get some love. So it was a 4/5, getting +3 to the other locations once you're winning that lane, which I think was a great change for it when it happened. The initial time of him being able to buff the additional lanes with +3 power by only just winning the lane. So I'm happy that he didn't change any of that, but he did give him additional power, making him a 4/6. So when people see that extra power, they get excited and they want to go ahead and play the wonderful game. Now, for me, I think if Omega Red dropped in cost just so it can work better with Moonstone, I think people would be more excited about it. But additional power is not bad. 4/6, I'm happy for this change for Omega Red. And now, hopefully, it gets some love and gets some more play. Guess how you feel about it?
I don't think they could do that just because Mr. Fantastic exists, but I think this card is, especially for earlier players, you got to remember, you get Omega Red very early.
Oh, yeah.
This is a much, especially in the first, 1,000 collection levels, this is a much stronger card. For the longtime player, maybe not so much. I mean, 4/6 is better, don't get me wrong, but no one's screaming going, yes, this finally fits in my Cerebro 6 list. It's just, it's a nice enhancement to a card that definitely needs some love, and you do reconsider it for certain Zabu lists, certain ongoing builds, but this is just not Omega Red's time in the sun yet. I think there are other ways that they could make this card very good and still have it be appropriate for early game. You know, maybe, drop its initial power and let it give +4. Like if it was a 4/3 that gave +4s, I'd be much more interested in this card. Like in long-term play, I think that would be incredibly powerful. Makes C3 even better. There's some cool things you could do with that. But at 4/6, it's just like, okay, thanks. This one, I'm just a little bit more like, okay, I appreciate that. That's something.
All right, Gunny, how you feel about the 4/6 Omega Red?
I think every point of power matters on this guy, right? Because he says you have to win here. So that's going to make that 1 point easier to do. Pretty great in like a mid-range deck. Mid-range decks are normally pretty good at winning 1 lane and then contesting another lane, but they're not good at spreading out power to 3 lanes. So if you can kind of like start to sculpt which lane you're doing that on, make sure you're winning that lane, pretty darn good. And I think you're right. Like early, you can't break this card because then it makes it early game, too good for that point. Another thing I do like about Omega Red though is it creates this like little mini game within the game of like who's going to be winning this location, which is just kind of like a cool, fun way to play.
Yeah,
right. And give that,
especially unless you're dropping it on turn 6, right? Which could do, especially looking at Zabu and Surge and all that stuff. Like,
Yeah, it's like a
it's
build your own
currently
Baxter building, you know?
yeah, it's
Right.
right. I mean, it's giving out 412 power. That's nothing to sneeze at.
That's fair. Then we go to our next card. Now, I mean, guess when to stroke egos out here. I think I could stroke this one too, because there were a ton of cards on that list that you put out. But this one right here, you asked me live on air on stream of the Golden Gauntlet what card I felt was less played and needed some love, very underrated. And I said Super Giant, because I said, especially with the bounce decks and every other deck out there, that turn 5 play is very crucial. And if they at least buff Super Giant so people can start playing Super Giant, I think it would definitely make a difference in the tournament scene. And voila, our last card in the list is Super Giant. Not only did they buff this card with additional power, they gave it 2 additional power, making it a 4/7. So now it's another 4-cost card you really think about putting in the deck. Not only does it have a great ability, but now it also has phenomenal power. So I hope people see that and actually still want to play the wonderful Super Giant. Of course, with Zabu, you can play it early, but I really believe that 5 turn is very crucial, especially for the winning championship deck, which is a bounce deck. If you could stop all that bounce madness from happening on turn 5, you might be able to pull out the victory. How do you feel about this card, Guess?
I think it is a huge enhancement to the card. I think 4/7 is, you know, the sexy stat line for 4-cost cards. You want your 4/7s to be strong. And normally 4/7s, you feel comfortable playing on curve, late in the turn. I mean, in the match, it doesn't matter. You normally feel pretty good needing to drop down a 4/7. Obviously, if you Zabu it, of course, great. That's even better. Woohoo! But I think now you really start needing to reconsider how good this card is, because it came out and everyone was like, okay, this is cool. And then everybody left it alone for months. And it was brought up in a comment that, because I had originally wanted this to be a 3-cost card. I wanted this to be like a 3/4. And I thought that would be awesome. And somebody else had commented on it that this would be such a great counter card to what is currently the 4-cost meta, which is very true. You know, you stop your Galacta from being just as important. You stop your Gwenpools from being just as important. You see this very often with Laufey. You see this with Anti-Venoms. This is still a counter card for that, but you have to ramp it. You have to get it out early.
Right.
And it didn't feel justified to try that hard to get it to happen at a 4/5 cost. At a 4/7 cost, it is much more justified to wanting to have this card in your deck. It's one of the out of these 3 specifically, I want to really test with this one. All my Infinity Ultron decks I'm going to be re-experimenting with now that they're all 2-cost stones, but Super Giant is incredibly interesting to me. I think that she'll end up finding some kind of meta home post-tournament.
Okay. Gunny, how you feel about this? Wonderful.
Yeah, so you already mentioned bounce. What are some of the other decks that are like really affected? I can think of discard. Discard seems really affected by Super Giant.
Surfer.
I think your Scar Sauron decks also very much so get hurt by this, because you don't see as many of those 10s get dropped, which means you don't get your Scar reductions, and Sauron's ability doesn't feel as comfortable.
And then just thinking like what kind of package goes with this? So the cards I could think of off the top of my head is either big 5-drops you want to hide, such as Ronin or Darkhawk, or just, you know, playing early priority stuff, and then turn 6 either choosing to play something like Negasonic Teenage Warhead or an Alioth or Eliath. So like those, I'm just like wondering, what does this deck look like? And I just think it's really cool, right? 4/7 is a big deal.
Yeah.
Think about what happened with High Evo when it hit 4/7. It no longer felt bad to play. There are going to be games where you can drop a Super Giant on turn 6 and not feel terrible about it.
Right.
The big play with Super Giant is this will also bring back the love that people should have for Hope Summers, because that was my favorite combination when the card first came out. was playing Supergiant on the Hope Summers lane and then having 6 energy to hide a 6-drop behind that and then still have 6 energy on the final turn. That was a really, really powerful effect. And I think people forget how good that 1 secret energy on turn 5 could actually be.
Yeah,
and
especially
if you're go ahead.
Especially if you're in that last turn blowing up their unrevealed cards with Eliath.
Yeah.
Yes. And that 6-cost card that you can hide is Taskmaster. And then drop your big, chunky Red Hulk or whatever you want on turn 6. And the Taskmaster flips. There you go. Yeah. Giganto. The Taskmaster flips. 16 power, 16 power. So those are the decks you can put it in. Definitely, that's what made Supergiant so much fun. When Taskmaster was a 5, it just made it even easier because you could play it on turn 5 without the Hope Summers. But now with Hope, you want to kind of hide that type of a card. So then on the last turn, everything just changes. But yeah, that's, and again, Sarah too, right? It stopped Sarah decks. Because I think that was the biggest thing that was done in the past was, hey, it stopped Sarah on turn 5. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy for the card. Gunny, you seem like you're happy about it too. Can't wait to.
I like that style deck. I really do.
Yeah. I can't wait to see. I hope somebody brings it to the tournament. I really do hope so. But
and so you just kind of hit on something I just want to talk about real quick. You said interference. One of the things I love about a card like Supergiant is I think it has really great snap equity. I think people are going to stay in games they think they can win, and they're going to lose.
That is correct. It happens all the time. You're right. Good call on that. Then we go over to this wonderful season that I don't know. I know none of us have been able to actually enjoy due to all the wonderful work we're putting in to put on this amazing show happening this weekend. And that is the wonderful Merlin season. We're going to call it that because Merlin is the Battle Pass card. And Merlin, of course, is a 2/3, wonderful stats. At the start of each turn, add an incarnation to your hand. These incarnations go from all reveals. Mind you, they all one cost. Incarnation.
What?
Incarnation. What's the problem?
Incantation.
Incarnation. Same difference. Incantation. Whatever you guys want to call it. Why can I not say the words I want to say? What is the problem? I could add R's to places I want to add R's. Okay.
Because we're not. It's because we're not sleeping. Don't worry about it.
Oh my God.
Incarnation. Happy incarnation. Incarnation.
I'm not
going to
happy,
say
but
that.
I'll live. So just
how do you pronounce evaporation milk? No, I know that. I know it's incantation. I know. I like to say R's. Can I add my R's to the letters I want? How do you say evaporated milk?
Whatever you want to do, Kern.
Incantation. So all the incantations are all one cost, which makes this card even crazier to even think about. Being able to replace a location with a one cost, I know you could do it with Thanos, but giving Merlin extra +2 power is crazy. And of course, we have the one that shuffles your lowest power card here into the deck, and you get +2 energy. So you play your hoods, you go ahead and play this card in the hood lane, send that hood back, you have a demon, and you get +2 energy next turn. And of course, the last one is the polymorph, which transform your lowest power card here into one that costs an additional cost. So Merlin, probably one of the best, or not the best, season pass card for 2025 thus far. I believe it is. I'm giving this a wonderful. I gotta give it a double platinum. That's what I give this card, double platinum for this season. We're gonna go ahead with Gunny. Give Gunny some love. Gunny, how do you feel about the wonderful Merlin that I did not add to the stage until now?
I think you're too high on this card. So I haven't got to play with it a whole bunch because I have been working this entire week. But I have been, as I've been answering tickets and doing stuff, watching some gameplay. And one of the things I noticed with Merlin is it seems like the decks like just didn't have enough stuff on the field by the end of the game. Like it was just like kind of lacking. And there's some people doing some cool stuff with like Werewolf, getting some big numbers, but I feel like there was just too many decision points about like what to do with some of these spells. And I don't see this card being the best card of this, like of the year so far at all. Like maybe now because things have been OTA'd and nerfed and whatnot, but I don't think this card's game breaking at all. Not double platinum for me. I'm going to go like double gold. Like I think this card's we're not going to even see this card a whole lot. It's going to go in a couple decks, like maybe decks that want to do on reveal stuff, but other than that, like I don't think this is going to be the omnipresence card that everyone thinks it's going to be.
Okay, all right. Listen, double gold, double platinum. Guess, how do you feel about Merlin and his wonderful incantations?
So proud of you. I think he is right in between where the two of you are speaking, because I do think he's an absolutely incredible card. I do think, and I agree with you that generally speaking, I think he's probably a double platinum card. However, he will be the biggest trap in the Golden Gauntlet tournament, because a lot of people want to play the new card. A lot of people are talking up, even us are talking up the new card. It's a great card. However, I am more so leaning away from his plug and playness and really looking further into how you need to deck build around him. Because I do think that the two best synergies I've seen and played so far are Werewolf by Night, as you're talking about, Gunny, and Sentry. I think that Sentry and being able to flip that void same turn. So turn 5, you're playing down a Sentry and an incantation. And all of a sudden, you just got a 4-drop and a 5-drop for 5 energy on turn 5. That is so incredibly powerful. Even with that 5-drop being random, there really aren't that many bad 5-drops.
Bad 5. Mm-hmm.
There's not too many that you're sitting there going, damn. Like it's generally speaking a very good thing to do. And I think that as long as you're building with at least one of those two, you're definitely making a good Merlin deck. But I think he's going to end up being a trap in the Golden Gauntlet tournament. But if you're on ladder, I think he's a very strong card. Absolutely worth picking up. To get the season pass, he's totally 100% worth it. I have a lot of fun, whether it's just like a standard ramp build I was messing with. I tried him in Beast Bounce. I had great luck with him as well. I mean, Clog, he was doing great with the Sentry thing, like I was saying. Like, there's a lot of good things you can do with this card. I'm a very big fan of it.
Here's a question for you. Is this card good or is it fun?
Yes.
Like
Both.
which way does it go? Because a card
both.
I think sometimes gets a little bit higher ramp on like how good people think it is just because of how fun it is.
I think it's both. I'll let Guess answer first.
I'm kind of leaning. Okay, so in a generic sense, people want to play it because it's fun, because of how the incantations work. But if you deck build around it, it's also good. If you just throw it into a random deck, like, we were seeing that with Iron Patriot. Just throw Iron Patriot in everything. Just throw Sam Wilson into everything.
Right.
The same thing with Merlin. I think more so than those two examples, Merlin, you do need to deck build a little bit further into, even before we actually got to test the card, and then test the card and were reaffirmed. Yes, you absolutely need to deck build into this card.
Yeah.
But when you do, that 2-drop value of him is through the roof. So, yeah, he's a very good card when you deck build around him. That happens to be fun no matter what deck you also play in it.
Right. Okay. And if you think about what's happening right now in the meta with a lot of magic or location change, being able to play Merlin with Hope Summers and dropping all your spells on Hope, I had the most fun doing that. And of course, having Werewolf by Night and doing other cool things, that was both fun and good, right? Because I'm winning matches now because I'm having extra energy. I'm getting, and then of course, with another card that we'll talk about later that gets additional power for every time you play an incantation. All of that was a very good and fun and good deck. So, I mean, I guess it all depends. Like I said, if you deck build around him, yes. But if you just throw him in a deck and go, okay, let's play, then it's going to be just fun just to see what craziness can happen. And then we go on to the other card this season that came out with it, and that is Morgan Le Fay. Now, Morgan Le Fay is return all your discarded and destroy cards to your hand with +3 power. I got to play a few games with her, not a lot, because again, I was more intrigued by some of the other cards we'll talk about in a second. So for me, for right now, I'm definitely giving this card a double silver. That's where I put it at, right below gold.
Wow.
Yeah, double silver for me. I love this card. I love discard decks, but right now I think for her being a 4 cost, love the stats, right? But being able to play destroy and then playing her on 4, so that means you're 5 and you got to destroy enough cards that on turn 5 and 6 you got cards to play with additional +3. I think it's a lot of work for nothing. I mean, that's what I feel, but you guys let me know how you feel about Morgan Le Fay. Gunny, I'll let you go first.
How many cards are you reasonably playing after playing Morgan Le Fay?
Well, if you're
Like,
gonna
what do you
about,
think's average? You think 2, 3?
if it's 2 turns, I'm gonna say 4 cards.
Because I don't think you're destroying that many cards at a time. I think you're playing this mostly on turn 5, right? So that gives you 1 turn to play your cards. And this is where the question really comes up, right? Because we have Galacta, right? She provides a +3 buff, and she's not a 4/7. So if you're playing only 2 cards out of that, then you're getting extra value. So that's where my head really kind of spins on this card, is if you can play 2 cards, then you've gotten Galacta value out of those 2 cards. And they might even be on reveals that get extra benefit. Maybe they're like a Rocket Raccoon or something, right? So that's kind of where I think that's where people need to think about it, is like, instead of this grand plan of dumping their hand, destroying everything, getting all like 4 or 5 cards back to play, just think about using it on 2 or 3 cards. And if you deck build towards that, I think the deck would be better.
That's fair. Guess, how do you feel about it? Oh, well, hold on. Gunny, what did you give it? What score do you give?
I think I'm just going to give it gold. Right now, I don't think people have figured it out, but I think it kind of fits right in the middle of gold. It's a good card. It's not a broken card. It'll go in some decks. Somebody's going to figure it out. I think the deck will be pretty good once it's done.
Okay. Yes?
So I think the pattern that Morgan Le Fay needs is you absolutely play this card with Firehair Misery, because that's what takes it over the Galacta value, because you want it to, you want this card to be played on turn 5 more often than not. You want the effect to happen. You want to bring back a bunch of little stuff, and then you want those effects to happen one more time just for giggles. So I had the most success with this card in Mill, for example. I absolutely loved this in Mill. Did the whole, Yondu package and Baron Zemo, getting multiple Baron Zemo pull-out cards, and the Venom combination with Morgan Le Fay also is so strong. So strong to get like a 3/20 back into your hand after you eat with the Venom and then destroy it with the Misery, and then bring it back with Morgan Le Fay, and then you're reducing your death all in the process. It's just, there's so many good things that happen with those synergies, and I had a lot of fun doing that specifically. The other package is, other packages are ones that are looking to have those lots of littles benefit the end game. So for example, like a Darkhawk build, right? You want to play out the Korg, then you want to have your Firehair Misery, destroy the Korg, get it to keep procking rocks into the deck. So when you do drop that 5-drop, you've got the Morgan Le Fay also bringing back like a 1/5 Korg into your hand because you've destroyed it. And you've added extra rocks in there. And that's a great card to play with Ajax. Like that's the kind of stuff I think we need to experiment more with. I tried it also, for the Darkhawk, and I also tried it with Ajax, trying to get some reductions with Cassandra Novas and double surges, and there's something there. I'm at about a double gold right now, because I think we need, like you said, a little bit more time, just a little bit more time with the card. I don't think it's ready to say that it's a meta-breaking card, but it's like right on the cusp.
Okay. From your experience, Guess, did this have the destroy problem, which sometimes you just draw the wrong half of the deck? Or the Phoenix Force problem,
even
right?
if you draw like even the top half, like say you draw your big 5-drop, you draw your Morgan, you draw your, I don't know, your Gladiator and your Misery, like the super high top end, it's still a 4/7. We talked about that earlier too. It doesn't feel bad to play as just a 4/7. And I think that's why she got that 2 points of power, because the amount of times that you're successfully destroying something or discarding something on 3 to then bring it back on 4, you got to justify her value. And if you bring back 1 card from her with an extra +3, she's justified her value as a 410, and I think that that's pretty damn good.
Have
So
people like have you seen anybody trying to play with discard with this, like Moon Knight stuff or Silver Samurai?
Yeah, I tried specifically with the first Ghost Rider, trying to do that whole package and get like an Iron Man to come back as like a 5/3, and sure, that's fun. Getting the Swarms to come back as a 2/6, that's also, and discard those again, that's also fun. But you're honestly jumping through hoops you don't need to jump through.
Yeah.
For a lot of those decks.
Yeah.
I feel like most of her value, just like X-23
Destroy
and Wolverine, most of those decks come from value of destroy more than discard.
Yeah.
That's not saying that there isn't value, but at 4/7, the best value bang for your buck situation is going to end up normally being destroy.
Yeah. Kid Omega is going to make this card great.
Yes, Kid Omega would be great. Elixir with her in the list too. I think that all makes sense. But like, I'm thinking about, what if you want to do a whole Guardians deck, play them nice and early because they're cheap, destroy them, bring them back with the extra power. But then it's like, you could do that with bounce too. So that's what I'm saying. You're right. Once somebody figures out, or we get more time to play with her, because I didn't really play with her, so I can't say much. But once people figure it out, then maybe it will be worth the while. Then we go to a card. We're going to go through the season cards, and they have been, we had 6 cards dropped this week. So let's go.
Were we supposed to?
Not intentionally.
Okay. Now let's talk about that, because I said this on the stream the one day I did get to stream. Was it really an accident?
Yes.
Was it really though? Okay, I know second dinner employee of the month. I'm just saying it would just make sense that they put out 6 cards to see if it breaks the meta or break the people. And I think everybody has been saying the same thing. This is the most fun they've had in a season since they dumped the Series 4 and Series 5 cards way back when. Because now everybody has different cards they like, play with, different play styles, and it's been super fun. I can't lie. I wish we could play more, but nonetheless, we're going to talk about Nicholas Scratch. And I do believe you guessed it was an accident. Second employee of the month. Don't worry about it. I'm just saying. Nicholas Scratch is one of the cards I mentioned to be with the one for Merlin, because he gets additional power after a skill is played. So Merlin, Agamotto, Nicholas Scratch, Hope Summers, these cards all in the same deck. You'll be able to play, the incantations on Hope. You get to play the skills on Hope. Either way, Nicholas Scratch goes ahead and get a buff each time you play that. It's been a fun card. I'm not saying it's great, so that's where Gunny question comes in. Nicholas Scratch is a fun card. You're able to build that power up by just playing the wonderful spells or the skills. I think that's pretty good. I'm happy to have a card that actually do that. I do wish you get more power than just +1, but I get it. That'd be probably broken. Nonetheless, I want to give this card a gold rating. Gunny, how do you feel about Nicholas Scratch?
What number does this card have to get up to be broken? Right, because we have cards like Meek.
Yeah.
So 6. It's a good number. Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
What if this was a 1/1 and it was ongoing? Just ongoing.
So no matter if it's on the field or not,
1/1, 1/0, whatever it is, right? Every once in a while, you're getting a 1/5.
I mean, between Agamotto and Merlin, you're not playing that much spells outside of getting extra energy, right? So he still will probably get to that number regardless.
You have to play Merlin first, right? Agamotto obviously has the spells in the deck. Well, you gotta play the Merlin, and that's what sucks, right? So I think that's what's holding this card back, is the fact that it has to be out early enough to gain those buffs. And if you're counting on Merlin to help out, because that's the best way to play the spells, they all cost 1. You've got to get the Merlin out. So now you have to have 2 cards to come out before this card really starts popping off. Because if you're only counting on Agamotto spells, like, I'm sorry, it ain't gonna be that great.
No, definitely not. Okay, so what'd you give it? Is silver, plastic?
Yeah, this is silver.
Silver? Fair enough. Guess how do you feel about Nicholas?
This is a card you buy for the future. You don't buy it as much for now. This is a card that, as more and more cards come out that have skills associated to them, the value of this card will continue to rise. This is an investment card. It's not a mandatory need to have card. It's a nice to have card. I did a combination deck with Nicholas Scratch and Agamotto and Merlin and threw them all together. And then I threw in Quinjet to help keep the Agamotto spells cheap. And I also threw in Infinity Ultron. And when I tried this, those stones cost 3, and now those stones cost 2. And with that Quinjet, those stones cost 1.
Yep.
I cannot wait to dive into this deck deeper now, because it is a deck that is based on messing with what you think I have. Because it also runs Iron Patriot, it also runs Valentina, it runs Wiccan, it has Ramp built into it with Luna. Like, those are the kinds of decks that you want to see Nicholas Scratch do well in, because depending on what your opponent plays, you might want a Loki to get more spells. You get another Merlin in your hand. You get some, you steal some extra stuff. Iron Patriot gives you an Agamotto. Woohoo! Like, you never know what's going to happen with that kind of stuff. And I think that this is very much a card you invest in for the future. I think that deck would be good without it. Don't get me wrong, but it makes it easy for that build, because you also need to have something like Agamotto, Nicholas Scratch, and if you don't have Merlin, you can still do it, but do it with King E3. And you throw that into the mix. Pull those spells out. Now you've got a 1/3 guaranteed at minimum, yet alone, obviously, what will happen over time. So I think it's a very underappreciated card, because it's just not time for it yet. It's cool.
That's fair.
But it's just not time for it yet. I'm going to give it I'll give it just a straight up gold for now, but it will age like wine.
Yeah, I still go double gold. You go silver, and you go straight up gold. Fair enough. I definitely had same thing, King Eitri, Quinjet, but I also had Black Swan too, with some other one cost cards in there. And it was fun times that we were winning. So that's why I think King Eitri is good, but I wish he got additional more power. So as we mentioned before, he needs something else to help him out. And he is for the future. I totally agree. Once most cards get those additional skills. Now to my card that I think I'm going to give a diamond right off the rip. I'm not going to look at the other cards. Jennifer Kale gets a diamond from me.
Wow.
Why? Because this activate card has got me climbing from nothing to something. The replacement of Psylocke in the She-Hulk Infinite deck with this card has been epic. Not only can I do Infinite She-Hulk things by playing Kale on 2, waiting to activate on 4, and do what I need to do, but you can also activate this card on turn 4 and play a 6-cost card on your next turn, like Eson. Then on the last turn, go ahead and play your Moon Girl, copy your big cards. Eson will then copy and pull one of your big cards to your hand. That's what I've been doing and been winning with because of Jennifer Kale. And I know a lot of people giving her a lot of heat. They don't like the card, but she's also great if people playing Red Guardian. You can go ahead and hit my Jennifer Kale. I don't care. I'm playing Pixie with her, so hopefully my cards do what they need to do and change their cost. I really do like this card. Not only in that deck list, there are other deck lists that she could benefit with. Not in negative, of course, because negative you need Psylocke to go ahead and give you that energy by turn 3. But there are plenty of lists that you can have this card just sitting there, get that additional power when you need to, after turn 2, of course, and enjoy and win your game. So for me, diamond card of the season, Jennifer Kale. I definitely enjoy this card. Gunny, Jennifer
This
Kale,
card's,
how do you feel?
again, another silver.
Gunny's so
high on it, right? All right, I can see
card.
that this is where this card really kind of comes back, right? So to plan for it properly, like what amount of energy are you planning to use? So you have to get it down on 2 in order to use it on, like, get the energy for turn 5 to make you have 6 energy on turn 5, right? Or you get it down on turn 3 to get the energy on turn 6.
Same thing.
Our math right there?
No. It's turn 1, turn 2 or 3 to get the energy you want to activate on 4 to get the extra energy on 5 and 6. So any of the turns, 2 or 3 is what you need to get her down on.
Yep. So if you don't get it 2 or 3, it's a 2/2.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, like in let's say the best use I could see for it is if you want to play 2 6s, like you were just talking about, right? That it seems pretty good for that. But if you're like 7 power on turn 6, doesn't really do a whole lot for those decks. So if you don't get this card down on turn 2 or 3, which I guess is honestly the same problem you have with Psylocke.
Not really, because if you can play War Machine on 4, her on 5, then on turn 6 you're playing Ebony Ma and Infinite. So you're still dropping down 27 power with Kale versus having to play something else like Psylocke or something else to give you energy. So it all depends, especially in that type of deck. She still can work if you drop her on turn 5.
I mean, the thing I do like about her is that you can save that energy for when you want it. But I just think like the activate of it is such a crusher. I'm not high on the card.
No, totally get it. I totally understand. Guess how do you feel about Kale?
I am higher on the card than Gunny. I'm not diamond.
But lower than me. Yeah, I know.
I'm not diamond though. I do think this is a platinum. I do think this is a platinum card. I think that this card will surprise people as they continue to use it in more and more shells. Yeah. Because of some other changes that happened, like, oh, what is this? A Jennifer Kale that also gives me another outway to get 6 energy on turn 5 for me to do some shenanigans with my newly buffed Supergiant. Okay, I'm very happy about that. Or getting down the 2 6-cost cards in my War Machine deck with Dr. Doom and Infinite, because I can play that out. Okay, like, the delay on the card is obviously the value versus the Psylocke. I do think that this makes Psylocke eventually become a 2/3, but I think that Jennifer Kale is a very good card because energy is always welcome, right? You always are looking for energy. And it's just a matter of, are you aiming to play this one early because you need to play something on turn 4 or 5, and you want to drop this to delay it then? Or are you doing it reflexively, which is where you then substitute for Psylocke instead? So just like you said, the Mr. Negative build, you're playing Psylocke exclusively to get that Mr. Negative down on 3. That's why you're doing that. Right. Versus Jennifer Kale, where you're more so preparing for turn 5 or 6 more often than not. So the use case will be defined. I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah, no, I was just going to summarize and say that I think that as more and more people find use cases, like I expect Jennifer Kale to start making appearances into Silver Surfer decks because it frees up that turn 5 to then play extra another 3-drop rather than just playing Sarah, because I think it's more valuable to play Jennifer Kale than Sarah in that deck, because you could drop it on 2 and just let it do its thing. And then you're just loading up a whole bunch of 3s progressively and not having to worry about, am I going to get down the Sarah on 5?
I think another strike against this is like, if you don't get it down on 2, playing this on 3 is a terrible play.
I don't think so. I mean, depending on the deck, 1-drop that goes with it too. But like, if you're playing this with a Merlin deck, if you're playing this with a discard deck, even this is a good option to play it down with your Blade or your Meek. I think there's a lot of flexibility with 1-drops here. You play in that lane, play Jennifer Kale and Ebony Maw. It's still turn 3. Like you can still do good things with this card.
I'm gonna eat my words, but I don't see it.
That's fine. Listen,
that's fine. It's not like it's gonna be having like a video evidence for us to rewind back to at any point.
Back and see, right? Exactly.
You're fine. No, you're good.
I hope Golden Gauntlet players, you guys listen to this. Bring Kale to the tournament and let Gunny be a believer. Excuse me?
I said win it with the tournament. Do it.
Yes. Let's make Gunny a believer, guys, for real. All right. Then we have, of course, the Ancient One. Now, this one, of course, is on reveal. Add a wonderful Mandela to your hand. Now, the Mandela is the Tau Mandela. Sorry, the Tau Mandela. What's the problem? What's the issue?
Whoa. Are we just going to skip over the 2 surprise cards and just go to the cards that haven't released yet? Or are we going to talk about?
Okay, you're right. Fair. Yeah. They're not even on this list, huh?
No, they're not even on this list because they weren't supposed to happen. So on your little magical list, you can't have it. I'm sorry about that, but that does require you to either open your game or it requires us to just talk about it.
We're gonna open the game and talk about it, and we're leaving this in there, guys. You know, I always welcome the chance to show off the stuff in the game. So let's go ahead and take a look at that.
When you've got every variant variant? Every variant in the game. Yeah, might as well. You
That's
know,
right.
bring
So
up
here
the
we
game
go.
and bring out the brand new unexpected Hellion. Hellion
Yes.
really surprised us, to say the minimum, because we were not expecting this card, and neither was Second Dinner. They were not clearly not supposed to release this card, and then they accidentally did in an old version of the patch. And then they were like, "Here, everybody, update!"
Somebody
and then
get it.
some people didn't, and then Hellion appeared, and then they're like, "Oh, well, I guess we have to release this now." Okay, and then they did, and so I got to play with it. Have you gotten to play with it?
No, I have not. Before you dive into the gameplay, I haven't. No, because it would have been today or yesterday, one of those days. It's just been a crazy 2 days for us. So I haven't got a chance to even touch Snap. But before you dive into that, because you're knowledgeable in the Second Dinner's procedures and plans and what they release and everything else, right?
Yes.
This card was supposed to be released when? In what patch or in what season?
Eventually in the future.
So in the future, not even like a part of a game mode or anything that somebody leaked. That I'm not going to say who it was, but not even in that.
People leak things at times, but no. Eventually in the future, this card was to come to the game at some point. But
all right.
You know, there were data mines that said one thing, then there were plans that said another thing, and then there's basically all that mattered was the season announcement came out, and this card wasn't on that list.
Right.
Plain and simple. This card was not on the agenda to actually release in the month of June. That may have been a plan prior, but then was changed.
Understood.
But it was not on the to-do list clearly, and we saw that from the season announcement video. So the fact that people who didn't update the game were able to not only see the card, but actually use their tokens to get the card, kind of twisted the arm of Second Dinner to go, well, instead of doing a massive refund to the entire community, we're going to have to release these now. And that's exactly what they did. So we ended up accidentally with both 5/8 Hellion, which is, for those who do not know, it's an on reveal. Next turn, you can move cards to this location. So essentially a single-sided cloak. That's the easiest way to describe it. It's just your side only cloak. At good stats. Good stat line, 5/8.
Wow.
And then Mercury as well, who we'll talk about in a minute. But I want to talk about Hellion. Gunny, have you had a chance to play Hellion at all today? If you've opened the game at all?
I have not, no. I did open it, but I didn't get to play with it.
Gotcha. So knowing that was going to be the case, I made sure I took time to play a couple of games just to test out Hellion. And I'll be honest and say I was a little underwhelmed because it does feel clunky. You know, it's a single turn cloak. You know, if you ever wanted to play cloak, you normally wanted to play it on turn 5 because you wanted to do some shenanigans and try to prepare because your opponent could do the same thing. So you try to put it into a more full lane and then do the shenanigans you want to do. But from a move standpoint, this having its own effect and then move cards to this location by turn 5, as we learned with Cloak, normally you've got a load of cards already on the board. So I tried this in a move deck, and I also tried this in like a Red Wing style deck. And it felt better in Red Wing. But in move, it just presents the same problem that Spider-Man 2099 has.
Makes sense. Mm-hmm.
It's just clunky. And it's better to bounce your cheap cards and do the cheap thing again than it is to play Hellion. So I'm not completely thrilled with this card. It's definitely a silver, but I expect it to be, you know, as people start to mess with it a little bit, we'll probably find something fun, but I don't expect it to be meta relevant in any way.
I think that's the wrong deck for it, Guest.
Move or Red Wing?
Yeah, I think this is a mid-range card.
Go on.
So like I had mentioned before, mid-range is really good at winning 2 lanes, right? So you spin the game, playing your cards out in different places, you figure out where your opponent is trying to contest, you play Hellion in one lane and say, all right, now I'm going to adjust some power over here. So now I can win that lane, and I'm going to take, I'm going to abandon one lane and now only focus on these 2 lanes. I think, and then some of the mind games you could possibly play with that as well. Like, I think that's the kind of card I kind of consider it more of like a cannonball, where it's like this can win a lane by itself, not in a move deck. Like maybe there are some move cards that can go good with it, but like just think about moving a gladiator to that lane. That's 16 points of power that you like. The ability to just say, I'm not going to contest one of these lanes, which one is it, to your opponent is kind of ridiculous.
It's the reverse vision mindset. It's why, I mean, we saw it in the Golden Gauntlet with New York on the final turn of the final match. And when you don't know, you're trying to guesstimate what is the top possible scenario, what's the bottom possible scenario, how can we try to move around this? Like, that's the guessing game you're creating. And I've talked about it on the podcast that Vision's still one of my favorite 5-drops that exists in the game, and probably could even get a little bit of love nowadays just because he's fallen off a little bit. But that unpredictability of where is this going to move to on the final turn, this is presenting similarly, because it's not just that, it's a matter of the entire rest of your board. What's going to happen? What are you going to drop here?
And even in the example I gave, let's say you have you have one lane that you just haven't played a lot of cards in. Maybe you got one card over there. It's a small card. You play a Hellion there. Your opponent has to then choose out of the 2 other lanes, like, which one are you abandoning?
Right. No, I agree.
Or are you abandoning that lane?
Right.
I don't know.
Right. That's the mind game. That is the mind game.
True.
And 5/8 allows you to do that, right? You've got a 2/3 in that lane. You play Hellion there. You've got 11 points of power. That's a contested lane by itself. If you're clogged up, you can move some cards around from clog. Like, I don't think this is a move card. I think this is a mid-range card. I'm giving
your head's that good.
I'm giving this double gold.
A gold or double gold?
Yeah. Double gold.
Oh wow. Okay. I haven't played the card. I think the card has a great ability, especially for playing mind games. I do like the mid-range stuff. I would definitely probably throw it in a red wing deck for me. But hey, I think it makes sense. That mind game is key. You gave it a double goal. I gotta give this. I have to go with
what is it gonna be?
Double silver. Gotta go double silver. Have to
and
go
maybe
double silver.
Maybe it could even be a package, right? You talked about Red Wing. Maybe it's just like an Iron Fist Red Wing Hellion package, right? And then your goal isn't to like drop a huge card. It's just to get some extra value. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah, maybe. I got to play with it. I haven't done it yet. So, but looking at the stats, and if it was like a 4 or even a 3, not even the power, just the cost, I think it'd be a little bit different. But you know what else too? Think about, maybe putting a deck with Kale, right? Get this card down early. Maybe that will help out. Who knows? But
I don't think you want to play it early. I think the trick is to make the last turn of the game being a guest.
I agree with.
Being in New York.
Agree with.
Okay. All right. I'm with you. Yes, that's fair. Play that mind game. Last turn. What am I going to do, guys? Am I going to move here? Not going to move here? All right, Gunny. I like where you at. And then, of course, the other card that was a big surprise was the one and only Mercury, which is you can move this once. It is ongoing. Enemy cards here can't move. So.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. I didn't get to play this card either. Guess I'm going to let you run off. Did you play it? Did you get to play with the card today?
I did. I did the one thing right off the bat that
Cannonball
everybody should
Professor
do
X?
with this card, and it's just straight up Cannonball, just like Mercury Cannonball. That's a package now, and now it's in my opinion, a better package than Prof X was. This is because 1, it's cheaper. 2, it has more flexibility because you can move. So you can get into those more difficult lanes, like your, Altar of Death and your Sanctum Sanctorum and that kind of stuff, just as a standard move card. But then you're also playing defense with this card, depending on the meta. And we're seeing a lot of move, right now. We're seeing a lot of movable cards, and this is a perfect counter to all of the Series 4 cards that were that came out last month. Like, this is this is a relatively strong card. I would not be surprised to see people play this in not just clog decks because they're playing Cannonball, but just as a general decent 2-drop that can move. You know, it has the same value as a Nightcrawler, but has a much stronger effect than a Nightcrawler, and it justifies it as a 2/2. I think it's perfectly costed and perfectly balanced. I don't see a problem with this card. I'm going to lean towards double gold. It's very early in the testing with it. I felt very good being able to move it around, play it even on like the Angelo lanes, get that to do its little bouncing thing similar to Jeff. I'm a fan of Mercury, very much so, and I expect to see it this weekend.
Let's talk about the important move cards in general, not like just the move deck, but what cards are just moving like outside of that deck. You got like Jeff, which we're not really seeing a whole lot of. We got
Silk,
Nightcrawler.
Silk.
I think Nocturne is a relatively important card to compare it to, just because of the fact that it can move and has a secondary effect. And
I was meaning cards that I was meaning cards that you want to like defend against. Like, what are the important cards that are moving that are outside of a move deck? Right, Rocket Group, great example, right?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking like incidental. How much incidental damage are you going to do with the ongoing enemy cards can't move, other than straight up countering a move deck? Because that's awesome, right? So if you're straight up countering a move deck and you're using Cannonball and Mercury together, like that is an awesome package. How relevant is the incidental damage you're going to do from like Rocketing Groot or, you know, other cards that are just moving your opponent's trying to do? That's my question. Because I think this card's baller. It is awesome.
Yeah.
But I mean, straight up Cannonball Mercury, that's amazing. And then hold on, can we talk about this for 1 second? Spider-Man 2099, can he get some love, please?
I've been asking for that, man.
All we need to do, if you're jumping through all those hoops, destroy the largest card here, please.
Yeah,
agreed. So, what are you giving it, Gunny? How you feel about it? You sound like you hyped about it. What are you giving? Platinum. Oh my goodness, Gunny went with the platinum.
We're gonna see.
Card.
We're gonna see.
It looks like
how important it was
like
Prof X Cannonball.
Yep.
And now you get to kind of do that again. You only got to fight really with Cannonball. You're counting on that winning a lane, right? So you only have to focus on one more lane, just like you did before. You may be using Professor X, or you may be using something different, right? Just like big cards over there, whatever it is. You only this card reads with Cannonball. You only need to win one lane.
I mean, listen, I'm with you guys. It's crazy to think about. I mean, even if you want to get crazy with it, if you're playing against a move deck and you want a Mercury and Mystique on turn 5, that's even crazier, right? Think about stuff like that. I mean, you could do a lot of cool things if you get this out early and do 2 lanes, lock down with Mercury, and then get a Cannonball on 5, a Absman on 6. That's all cope. But nonetheless, Mercury is, I agree with you. There's a great card, and I'm going to have to side with you on that and go platinum for the 2 costs that it is. And for all the wonderful ongoing that it has to stop those cards.
What'd you just think of? Guess I just saw the light bulb pop up above your head.
No, I just thought about Prodigy.
There you go.
Prodigy with this could create some real problems.
Madness. Yep. Because now you can move Prodigy as well. And shut down the lane. I was thinking Mystique, but Prodigy works too. Yes. Like, that's the kind of thing to think about, guys. That's why I said it's got to be a platinum card. If it was a higher cost, then it would be less. But it at a 2, this is possibilities are endless. And out of the 2 cards between this and Hellion, I do agree with both of you. We might see this more.
How does this work with Mercury? I mean, sorry, with Mystique, because you mentioned Mystique. Like, it will take on that this can move once, right?
It should, right? Because we said what other card did she copy? That's
the stones.
That had 2 abilities.
Didn't they change that also with the stones, that it got the on reveal simultaneously?
Yes, correct. Yes.
Okay, so it
something about Blob too,
effect.
right? Remember, Blob was Blob. Yeah. So it should take on the move, the text, right? So, yes. So I mean, thinking about that, it's crazy. It's crazy. But I do hope to see this in the Gauntlet, because that'll be a great thing to watch. So let's see what happens. But great scores all around for the card. Now we go to the cards that are supposed to come out this season. And then, of course, we start things with the one and only that I did say before, the Ancient One. So now the Ancient One has some Mandela effects. If you guys know, you know about the Mandela effect. It'd be nice if I just.
And this is
sorry,
also like this is what I was talking about with like Nicholas Scratch, where
Right.
as more so we have Tal Mandala. Great. This is now going to add on another card that you can potentially put with Nicholas Scratch. You know, as more and more of these release, it just further confirms the idea that he will become a good card. But don't, bend over backwards needing to get it right now just because there's only, as of this week,
A
2,
handful
as
of
of next
cards.
week, 3 cards that really will start to make his value rise.
A whole lot better. Agreed. So now with that wonderful honor reveal that copies the text of one of your ongoing cards here onto your other characters here. And of course, first thing people thought about was Iron Man, copying Iron Man text to the other cards here, and then probably do some tribunal things, right? Because that's the only reason why you want to have that much Iron Man power in a lane. But think about all the other ongoing cards, including what we just mentioned earlier, Mercury, right? Being able to copy Mercury's ongoing to the card and doing some Mercury shenanigans with it. So this card is definitely a interesting one. My only thing is it is a 3 cost. So for me, it's kind of high in cost. And the wonderful Mandela is also a 3 cost. So that high cost is you're going to have to really plan what you're trying to copy. And again, aim for that final 2 turns to make it do what it do. So for me, I think this card preview will be at a gold, just a regular gold, almost double silver, but I'm going to say gold. Gunny, how do you feel about this card?
What do you think about this with C5?
That's pretty good, actually.
It just requires me to play C5. That's the problem.
I think C5 could be pretty good.
Yeah. Agreed.
Maybe. I'm not sold on that idea. I think, with the fact that the Tal Mandala is a 3 cost in and of itself, this is another one of those cards that you want to drop down as early as possible. And then you still need, like everyone's talking about, like the Iron Man and the Blue Marvel and all of these other mechanics. You do realize what that curve then looks like, right? Like you need to play the Ancient One on 3 and then play the 5 drop doing the thing on 5. That only leaves you turns 1, 2, and 4. And that's not a lot of energy to do enough of the other things on the board typically to win the rest of the lanes. Like I expect to see this more so with like discard, putting all of those Morbiuses onto the random other cards in a lane. I expect to see this in those kinds of smaller ongoing builds where it benefits like 2 targets, or if you're going to build into an ongoing deck of some kind, it's a like Hydra Stomper. I could see this being working well with Hydra Stomper and Werewolf by Night and that whole package. Like those are the ways I think we need to really cook with the Ancient One, because if you go for the big play, you really don't have a lot of else going for you on the board. Like Patriot's a good one to work with this, because you can do that.
5.
No. Yeah, like
right?
No. Like I'm not saying Cerebro 5 in any way, shape, or form. I disagree with that. I think you're working too hard for that one. But I think with Patriot, it's easier to do because you just play Ultron, and then you can do this on, turn 5 and have a bunch of other little stuff down there, no problem, and get several of those Patriots without even trying. Like it's an alternate Mystique in a way. I think that there's something there.
Here's one thing I like about this is you can actually use the Ancient One to be one of the cards that has the effect copied onto. Yes. I think that's pretty important. And I wonder what cards you would possibly want to copy early. Like, is an Ant-Man good enough to copy? How about you could also do Captain Carter, sorry.
Yeah.
Like instead of trying to go all out onto like Iron Man, like what is the low thing that you can do that also wins the lane? Because if you make 4 Iron Man, like you're gonna win that lane. There's no question about it, right? But that's like even so high.
The Sam Wilson version of those low ongoing Spectrum decks, like those types of things, like getting a cap to repeat onto every card there.
right.
You know, that's +6 in that lane per card, you know? So you're
one thing
adding
I am
12 all by itself.
One thing I am concerned about in an ongoing deck is then you're not going to reliably hit what you want to hit. Now, that might not matter because all of the ongoings are possibly good. But that being said, like, I wonder if there's a package where there's like 3 ongoing cards that you want that effect to be on, and you just kind of focus on one of those winning you a lane.
Still just one lane, though. For me, I'm thinking, how do you win the other lane? That's why I like your Cerebral 5 idea, because you're not just focusing on that one lane, but what deck can this be in that you go, okay, I got all these ongoings in this lane. This is in the other lane. Like,
I was
that's
just
where my
thinking of
head's
it.
at.
I was just thinking of it as a backup, better Mystique. In a Cerebral 5 deck, right?
Right. Yeah.
I think Victoria Hand loves this.
Okay.
I think that's a really strong play. I think
Right.
US Agent
Victoria Hand's perfect.
would also really like this.
Right, that's what I'm thinking. Like, what is some of the smaller stuff? Because you said US Agent, Diamondback, also another great card.
That's still one lane, though. I like the Victoria Hand.
Mr. Fantastic.
No,
that's perfect.
You win one lane with this, with like a Diamondback or a US Agent, and then you use Ajax to win the other lane, right?
Or just straight up Mercury, and then you're just using it for the ongoing move effect.
Right. We said it earlier, but yeah. We'll see when the card comes out. We'll see.
I'm at a gold on it right now. I do think it's going to be a good card, but it's going to be a difficult card to theory craft with. It's going to take some time.
Yeah, we all went gold, so we're not shying away from its ability. I just think you got to get some type of. I like the Victoria Hand. I like the Cerebral, because you need to be able to spread that power if you're going to put all these cards in one lane. That's just where my head's at. But you guys have other ideas that could come out. I'm sure chat will let us know too as well, and we'll find out when this card comes out next week. Then, I'm sorry, guys. I said that card. You know what? I'll leave Kill as my diamond. We have 2 diamond cards this season, and that is Nightmare. All right, I did put a tweet out about this nice and early when we first saw the season video. Yes, I cannot wait to play a 620 Galactus from Infinite or a 620 Doctor Doom. The fact that Nightmare can replace the text of each card in your hand from a text with a random card from the same cost just makes Infinite a whole lot better. I don't care what his text is, as long as it's not Taskmaster. This is phenomenal. Nightmare, Sauron decks, everybody's gonna be happy about that. I think this card is great. That's why it got nerfed to 3-1. Anytime you see a card that gets that Mr. Negative treatment nice and early, I think it's a great card. So yeah, my second diamond card of the season goes to Nightmare. Gunny, how do you feel?
Think this goes in a Sauron. I don't think this goes in a Sauron deck. You don't want to be playing a 3-1 on turn 3. You want to be playing Surtur, or you want to be playing what is the Hulk I'm missing? The 310 the 310.
Starbrand.
Starbrand. That's it. Yeah. You want to be playing Starbrand, right? You might be playing. I don't know. I don't want to play a 3 -1.
You don't want to play this on 3 anyway. You don't play this on 3. You might play a little bit later in the game. You got to see what's in your hand, right? So if you think about
again, if you're playing it later in the game, then you're not playing a 410.
Yeah, but okay, depending what's in your hand at that time, right? If it's a Red Skull, right? If it's Ebony Maw, these cards that did not get hit by Sauron, right? If you're able to play this on turn 4, for example, then you have a 5 cost, a 5-14, right? He's 14 now or 13. 5-13 Red Skull that now has the text of Iron Man, right? And you have a 1-7 Ebony Maw that has the text of Silver Sable. Like, I think this card is not supposed to be played on curve. I think it's played on based on what's in your hand and what you want to change the text to. That's what I think. So
I don't want
in the Sauron deck,
one on any of those turns.
Oh my god. Well, okay. All right. Listen, I hear
This card's wood.
It says lower than plastic. Wow.
I guess plastic. Right, I'll go plastic.
I'm gonna make you eat these words. We're gonna make you eat these words.
Yeah, I'm in full disagreement with you, Gunny. I think that this card is very good.
I don't think they can afford for this card to be good. This card cannot be good in the game. If this card's good in the game, it becomes another Erisham.
I see you're missing a major piece to this though. He's a 3-1, which means that they know that his effect is strong and needs to have a downside. If you think of the cards that have a negative cost associated to them, Gore, Mr. Negative, the Hood, like these are cards that are specifically
Giganto.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. The negative power specifically is showing that, hey, this is a really strong effect and there needs to be a downside. And the decks that want to play him are the decks that are specifically playing other cards that already have downsides to them that you're looking to convert. So you're sacrificing power for effect. And that's why they had to make it a -1, clearly, because similar to what the Searcher deck is going to do, look at something like Clog. Because you could play your Sentry as a 4/9 with no Void, yet alone now play it in the right lane. Or you could even take that Hood as a 1 -3. That's fine. But you can get the effect of something else if you absolutely need the effect to do something. And then take the downside with it because it's already too late in the game to do something worthy. But you know what? Maybe you can flip that around. You could also take that Demon that you have later on and just turn that 1/6 into a better 1/6, similar to what you talk about with Ebony Maw. You could then not have to worry about a 5/8, Cannonball. Sure, it's a great card, but a 5/8 anything that has a 5 cost associated to it, normally you're hitting your lottery chances of getting a better effect than you are getting a bad effect at that cost and power. I think that this card very much so is going to be good in Clog. I think this card very much so is going to be good in Sauron. Because I think back to original 3-cost Sauron. The deck worked for a reason. And this is now feeding further into doing that. This will be the re-rise of the OG version of Shuri Sauron chaos, because that 4-cost, that 5-cost that you put down, there's less of a downside because you're not needing to worry about, did you get Sauron down? That's okay. I got Nightmare instead. And now this, Shuried Red Skull is actually a Claw that's also giving me +7 in a lane. Like that's the kind of stuff I think Nightmare does really well. And that's, to me, the reason that Sauron just became a 1/3 that only affects your hand.
That's correct. I was about to say that.
Y'all heard it here. Golden Gauntlet 3 is going to be won by Nightmare.
If Nightmare was out, we would have a big problem. I'm telling you that right now. But Nightmare is not out yet, so the Gauntlet is safe. You said Golden Gauntlet 3.
3.
Okay, I didn't hear you. There you go. You're absolutely right. 100%. Golden Gauntlet 3 will be a bunch of Nightmare decks. I guarantee you.
You heard that, Second Dinner? We need a Golden Gauntlet 3.
Just so you prove Gunny wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gunny. Oh man,
just
I can't
for that.
Gunny's plastic and
plastic.
Oh my god. Okay.
Plastic.
Okay, Gunny. Listen, and your Clog deck is fire. Could you imagine changing some of those awesome cards with different abilities just to help you out? Like I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's not a Clog card.
It's not, but I'm just saying. If you had a card,
it is a Clog card. It is a Clog card.
I mean, if you look at the Clog deck, right, Gunny? I mean, I'm gonna have to look at it and see to be sure. But what card do you want to change that's already in Clog? I mean, you want Clog to do its thing, so I get it.
Yeah, all the cards do something there. The only one that I can see is what you said about Sentry, but then I'm not using my Nihilist to put that over, or I'm not doing the other thing that I would possibly want to do.
Nightmare is your out clause. It is your every deck needs an alternate win condition. Nightmare is presenting that because it's presenting the exact same problem that people have going up against Airsham decks. They have no idea what you're going up against. Yeah. That's the chaos that Nightmare presents.
That is a big thing too. If this card is good, it has to be changed. We cannot have another Airsham problem where there's no way to play around it.
I mean, listen, it's not
Look at what happened with Loki.
Right.
It's the same thing. Right. This is the exact same thing. This is what this card is built. That's why I'm saying this card has an incredibly high ceiling because random always benefits you. Always. And the -1 to make that happen is absolutely worth it. Especially when you know you're in a bad matchup. Like even throwing Nightmare into something like a Destroy deck. you know when you're down as a destroy player, like I have no way to win this matchup. You throw Nightmare down, all those cards are different now. You can win.
But they keep the stats. That's the best part. You know what I mean? And that's what makes
Yeah.
it so much fun. And it's like, I guess that's why I went back to the Sauron deck, because I'm like, that deck has a bunch of cards. You do not want the abilities, but you want the stats. Nightmare now lets you keep the stats, but get brand new abilities. And that just blows my mind. But we'll find out, Gunny, how you feel when this card comes out. We'll go on to the next card, which is Dormammu. Now, Dormammu is a 7/11 with game start abilities and summoning rituals, ladies and gentlemen. So, of course, he has a Honor Veil. Merge the highest power destroyed card with Dormammu to continue. And that's step 1 of step 3. And we have step 2 of step 3, which is also another Honor Veil. Dormammu steals 1 power from each card here to continue. Now, mind you, the first one is a 0 cost. This one is a 1 cost. And then the final step is a 3 cost, which is destroy 2 of your characters here to summon the one and only Dormammu, which is a 7/11. And of course, those stats can change based on what's destroyed and what gets stolen with these wonderful steps. So for me, I feel Dormammu is back to Gunny's question, rating as a fun card. I think it is a fun card. As far as good goes, maybe. Depends what deck you have him in. Depends if you get the spells to summon him. This is definitely Yu-Gi-Oh! Stats here for me. I'm feeling Yu-Gi-Oh! Vibes from this card. And to me, I think Dormammu is more of a fun card than a good card. So for me, I have to give Dormammu a gold right in the middle. No doubles, no nothing. My preview rating for this card is a gold. Gunny, how you feel about Dormammu?
You start with the first ritual in hand, correct?
Yes.
Yes, you
All
do.
right. So the soonest you could do the first ritual will be turn 2, because you can play it with either a Carnage or you can play it with a Kid Omega if you get Kid Omega on turn 1.
Correct.
Because Kid Omega will be out by this time, right?
Maybe not. Oh, yes, it may be, depending when game mode.
Kid Omega comes out. Oh,
I think so.
Is Kid Omega is on the 16th, isn't it?
I think
Yes,
so.
if you play it, right? It's the game mode. You have to win in the game
Yeah.
mode. So, yes.
So I think with those 2 cards, other than that, you're looking at, obviously Venom or Deathlock. And I think those are the only real cards. Maybe you could throw a Nico in here to get lucky. But those are the only real cards I can think of for Destroy. Now, one card I think also has to go in the deck is Angel. Specifically because of the Destroy 2 cards here. I think Angel helps out with that a lot. You can also possibly look at
Angel
maybe Elixir just to get more cards out, right?
Yep.
There's some cook to go here. What the 3 power card says is for 3 power or for 3 energy, win this lane, right? When you summon Dormammu, you're expecting to win that lane. So how are you just need to figure out how you're winning the other 1 or 2 lanes, right? How you're contesting this while you're getting rid of your cards, right? Yeah. So specifically, you want to destroy very weak cards. The Kid Omega I talked about, and then something else to destroy to summon your Dormammu, because you're not going to want to contest that with anything else. Your Dormammu is going to be 15, 16 power.
I think more than that.
Yeah, probably more,
right? Yeah. So it's interesting. Yeah. I think I'm going to lie somewhere around probably double silver.
Wow. Okay. Lower than I thought you would go. I thought you liked this type of decks, this type of cards.
I think there's going to be a lot of hoops to jump through, and you've got to figure out how to win the other 1 or 2 lanes, like how to contest the other 2 lanes. Like you're going to win your Dormammu lane if you do the thing, which we always know that could bite you, right? Because you're only playing 3 destroy cards. We've all played destroy before and drawn our destroy cards at the end of the game, so that sucks. And your opponent also knows that it's happening. Like they can see you completing the spells, so they just leave.
That's a good point. Okay, Gunny, I like it. Guess Dormammu, how you feel about it?
I'm excited because I think this is going to be potentially the card that makes Destroy relevant and not just the barometer of what's the meta. Like, because we've heard it talked about, and I know, Ken, we've talked about it too, where, if Destroy is a good deck in the meta. Like you can play Destroy in Infinite and actually compete in what we'll call like the middle 50% of Infinite. It's normally pretty diverse because that means everything's kind of leveled out a little bit. And then we'll have a pocket meta of, you know, Thanos Affliction and move bounce, and then this Destroy doesn't matter. I think that with all of these extra pieces that we've been getting for Destroy, like you talked about Kid Omega, for example, I think is a big one here. I think Elixir is a big one here.
Yes.
I think that a Dormammu deck will have a certain amount of consistency to it that's going to surprise people. I do think that, unfortunately, the existence of the deck is exclusively dependent on how relevant it is to play Magic, as in, is it safe to play Magic? Because there are metas where there's too many location change cards, and then there's other metas where there's none whatsoever, and you can play Magic safely. I think when Magic is safe to play, the value of this card goes tremendously through the roof. And you also, if correct me if I'm wrong, don't you also start not just with the summoning ritual in your hand, but also Dormammu? Or do you draw Dormammu?
I think he's in your hand as well.
What does it say on that? Scroll back up. I think
He has to be, right? I think he has that animation where he starts like, I think he starts in your hand, but I could be wrong.
I could be wrong too. I haven't seen the gameplay video that we saw from the season announcement. It doesn't really make it very clear, but if he starts in your deck, fine. If he starts in your hand, oh dear God, the ramp on this is going to be another option to get him out there. Like, I think there's going to be some really interesting cooks, but it'll also be obvious, kind of to what Gunny is also saying too, that it'll be transparent. You know, it's like a Hella deck. You know what's going to happen. Can you beat it? Right. Plain and simple.
But what if he's not in your hand or your deck? What if he's just only the way you get him out is to summon him by playing?
He has to be in your deck. There's no way that he isn't. Otherwise, no matter what, he's a meta card.
Or else it turns into another Chavez.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Question for you. What are you completing the 0 cost ritual with in a Destroy deck?
Like, what am I doing to execute the Destroy on turn blank?
It's like you can't do it on X-23. You can't do it on Deadpool. You can't do it on Wolverine. The card has to be destroyed. Those cards aren't destroyed.
Well, they come back, though, so maybe that doesn't
They're not
matter.
destroyed. They don't enter your destroyed pool.
That's correct. Yeah, so you're looking at things like Nova. You're looking at things like really any cheap one-drop.
I just don't think it's a destroy card. The only spell you're getting out of the only spell you're getting out of this that helps destroy is maybe the 3 cost ritual.
Yellow Jacket.
Yeah, about to say, just throw in Wasp. Oh, Yellow Jacket got more power. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you could probably have it be quote unquote anything. But I agree with your assessment that it has to be something that doesn't either re-go to your hand or goes down onto the board. It has to be something that enters the destroy pile. Yeah. Throw Bucky in there.
Bucky works.
Just to start the ritual.
Turn 1, Kid Omega. Turn 2, Bucky Barnes.
Yeah.
Boom.
There you go.
And then it's a card on the board.
Then you're throwing Elixir in there.
Your Angel immediately.
Yeah, you're throwing your Elixir in there so you get your Bucky Barnes back, and then you're going to use your Venom that you have in the deck as a backup on that lane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The card is going to be fun. We'll see if it becomes good. But what do you give it? What score did you give it, guys?
I'm also on gold because I think with the existence of Merlin this month, the location change is very important to keep relevant.
Sir.
And the amount of Magic you won't be able to play is also relevant too. So,
agreed. All right. Wow, we still got so many cards in this season. So we go next to Clay or Klee. How do you guys pronounce this so I can say it correctly?
I say
Clay.
Klee? Yeah, see? It's either Clay or Klee. Very interesting how we pronounce it. But Clay, either way you guys want to pronounce it.
There's an A at the end.
Yeah, Clea.
Yeah, Clay. You can still do A, right?
It's probably Clea.
Yes, Clea sounds probably best. Clea. When this permanently gains power. Add flames of the flat time or flat fall time to your hand. All right. So the fall time card here is a on reveal, afflict an enemy card here with -3 power. So every time this card gains power, you add the flames to your hand. And this card is a 1 cost on reveal that afflicts -3. So Gunny, I'm gonna let you go first. I know how much you love affliction. I think this card is pretty good. I'm definitely gonna leave it in the gold range, being a 1 cost and all. Gunny, how you feel about this card, buddy?
So I just looked it up. It is pronounced Clea according to the internet.
Okay.
So
Never
it's
lies.
definitely real.
Yeah, internet never lies.
Yeah, never.
Oh, I looked up a Marvel website. All right.
Go ahead, Gunny.
I
Got
think
this, buddy.
the hard part here is going to be giving it +3 power, giving it permanent power, while also trying to have it in an afflict deck. So I don't really know if this is an afflict card. Obviously, it does affliction, but I don't know if it goes in the afflict deck because you have to build around
No,
giving
I
it
don't think
permanent
so.
power.
Yeah.
But that being
Yeah.
said,
Mhm.
every time you do this, like you do it once, it turns into a 2/5. You do it twice, it turns into a 3/8, right?
So let me understand this, just so we're on the same page. If I play this card with Khazar, for example, that means every turn I'm getting this flame in my hand.
No.
It has to be hit by like a Kyora or well, not even Surge, because Surge.
Kyora? Who the hell is that?
Kalahari. Kahari is what he
Who the-
meant.
Oh, sorry.
Kahari.
Oh my god.
No, I'm thinking about
we need to
Kalahari.
do a whole fucking episode of just pronouncing names
you've been in
of cards.
You've been in PA. There's a place called Kalahari, so that's where my head went. It's Kahori, but Kalahari is a wonderful place in PA. If you guys have been there, not sponsored, but yes, Kahori, yes. So it's giving it permanent power. So that's just the one time, right? Not every turn.
It says whenever it gains permanent power, so anytime it happens, right?
Right.
So you could do it with anything that buffs your
Ironheart.
hand, anything that buffs it on the field, be it a forge or something.
Okay.
I do think
Forge. I got you.
there's going to be a little contestation, or there's going to be some contesting of like when this gets power and how to give it power, but I don't think it's an afflict card.
Fair enough.
And then really, are those steps better than just playing better cards? I'm not very high on this card.
I'm giving this card a silver now. Thank you for explaining it a little bit better. Silver for me. What you got?
I think I'm on silver as well. Again, because like I said, a 3/8, but you have to give it permanent power. Why don't you just play a gladiator?
Yeah. I guess
turn into a 4/11. Like there's
4/11.
better things to do. But you've done that. Now you've had to give it power 4 times to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think there needs to be other reason outside of its base stats, right? So it's not just a 1/5 and a 2/8 and etc. That's not what I see. Sorry, 2/5. That's not what I see with this card. I see this being activations, right? I see this being a card that either has further effect happen because afflictions are happening, or I see this as a card that is activating because you're getting a ridiculous amount of spells for 1 cost, and you're getting a ridiculous amount of on reveals. So you're looking at cards like Nicholas Scratch, that every Flames of Faltine, he also goes up 1 power in addition. You're looking at things like Werewolf by Night, where every time you add another 1 drop, it's just adding another 2 to the werewolf. You're looking at cards like Diamondback, where it's going to benefit even further because there's further affliction, or Abomination in your high Evo decks. Those are the kinds of things that I think is where the value of Clea is. It's Clea, either or. I think that generally is how you have to build. This is a card you build around, not a card you add. And I think just to say that it's an affliction card is not the case, because it needs to be a card that is gaining power. For example, in the high Evo deck, you can play this on 1 with Misty Knight, and every time Misty ends up hitting that card, you're getting another Flames of Faltine, and you're helping your Abomination to reduce its cost. So that's the kind of stuff in the synergy in which I see all of this wanting to be a better card. And I think it's going to be a little sneaky because people won't expect it to be as good as it ends up being. I do think that this is a gold card. But it is going to be a more difficult card than people expect it to be, just because it looks simple, and 2/5 is good in stats generally speaking, but if you couple that twice, get it to happen twice, that Flames of Faltine, with other effects, you've gotten more than its value.
That's fair. That makes sense too. So then, what are you giving it?
I think it's a gold. Yeah, I think it's a gold.
So we're on the same. Oh, I say silver.
Yeah.
So did Gunny. All right. Then we have the final 2 cards coming out this season. Both these cards will be limited time events, Series 5 and Series 4. Shout out to Second Dinner, giving a bunch of different series drops. Series cards that drop this season. And that is, of course, Kid Omega, which everybody was waiting for when it came to Elixir. Kid Omega is now going to arrive with one of the wonderful events, and then Cobra will be arriving as well. Now, activate for Kid Omega is destroy the next card you play this turn to gain its power. It being a 2-cost card is great. Comboing with Elixir will be awesome. Definitely, this card should be, I think, double gold from me. And then, of course, we have Cobra, which is activate, destroy an enemy created card here. This card is double plastic. We don't give a crap about this card. Double plastic for me. Now, Gunny, how do you feel about Kid Omega and Cobra?
Kid Omega terrifies the shit out of me. I'm telling you, this card is the diamond card of the month. This card goes all over the place and completely just shifts the metagame. You can do so much with this card. It's ridiculous. And the things you're doing with this are going to be not something your opponent can deal with. Just think about it with Nimrod, right? You play Kid Omega on turn 2 or 3. You play Shuri, and then you play Nimrod. You're blowing up, and not only are you blowing up the mid Nimrod that you already want to do and spread around the board like crazy, Kid Omega is getting that power as well, and that is the thing that takes this over the top. You can play with Black Panther, right? You do Black Panther, and then you have your Elixir bringing that Black Panther back, making it be a 20 power Black Panther, making Kid Omega go up to 11 power. Like, it's insane. The ability to take that card's power is ridiculous. This card is by far the best card of the month.
Wow. All right. Guess we got a diamond from Kid Omega, double gold from me. Guess how you feel?
That was, diamond.
I do agree. However, you are wrong on the Elixir synergy with Black Panther, because it would copy Elixir at 3. It wouldn't copy Black Panther at 20. However, because that's the played card. It specifically says card you play, not bring to the board. However, you can do it with Arnim Zola. Because I'm also curious, that's one of the things I want to see is, does this work similar to Dracula with discard, right? Because if Dracula discards the Apocalypse at 8 power, it'll take on 12 because it resolves after the discard back into the hand at 12 power. So if Kid Omega then takes that on, that's your winning lane right there, is just simply Kid Omega, Black Panther, Arnim Zola, call it a day. Like, that's a scary combo to me, because that's just stupid if it also takes on the 20 power. Yet alone, if it takes on the 10, it's still incredibly good. I think that Kid Omega is rightfully to be feared as a card, because people will be doing some crazy shenanigans with this card. But, keyword, but I think it's also worth talking about Cobra differently.
Okay. We'll let Gunny say how you feel about Cobra now, and then we'll get to guess Cobra.
Oh, yeah, Cobra's bad.
I'm with you. There it is.
I'm
plastic.
Go
ahead, guess. Let's hear it.
I mainly want to know what was going through the testing phase when they conceptualized Cobra, because this was not the Cobra people wanted.
Right.
You know, Cobra was a completely different card. He was supposed to be, quote unquote, like, if you go back into the data mines, he's gone through a roller coaster before he ever even hits the board. But up until the release, he was a 2/3 that was an activate of switch one of your opponent's created cards here to your side.
Yeah.
And now it's destroy an enemy created card here. And original Cobra absolutely had some relevance. I think this current version is just absolute dog water. I think they must have found something that was just too broken for them to go this far the opposite direction with Cobra. Because it's a card that you can't play early, and then you need to activate it. Like, you need your opponent to happen to play a created card and play it early, so then you can respond.
Right. If this is on reveal, it's different.
Like, it's just
yes.
If it was on reveal, it's still not different. It's still not different.
No, I think it's better.
It's much different as an on reveal. I agree.
Sure, it's better. But that being said, like, what deck are you playing this with against that you're going to rely on destroying an opponent's created card? It has almost the same effect as the Spider-Man 2099. Is if you're playing it against a deck that creates a lot of cards, you're destroying a random one. You don't know what you're destroying, right? So, like, is there a deck
it's a Fenris scenario?
It's a Fenris deck.
That's what you would wanted to do. With it,
but I'm just yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm gonna say no. I'm with you. The on reveal would be a whole lot different, and it would be great either way with Fenris, whether activate or on reveal. So that's the kind of deck you want. Make it a 2/4.
Yeah.
Still won't play it.
Still bad. Still trash. Right? It's horrible the way it is right now.
Yeah, this is definitely a card where you just sit there going, why? Like, it's just missing key elements. For example, destroy an enemy card, an enemy created card. If it stopped right there and was like, it could destroy an enemy created card in their hand, in their deck, in any lane, sure. Yeah. But the fact that it's so location restricted to one lane, it's absolute dog water. And I'm sad because it's a card I'm going to have to get as a creator. We're going to get it just to try it out and then just be reaffirmed that, yep, don't worry, guys, it's still bad. Like, I don't understand. I don't get what they were thinking with this.
What meta are we in right now where we get created cards, right? Not much. I mean, if you think about stuff that Elixir brings back, I mean, either way, it sucks. That's not even created. No, it's not. I was about to say, either way, it sucks as an activate because you want to bring that element of surprise, right? You think about a Shang-Chi for created cards. You want to have that element of surprise. You have to put this card down at least before turn 5, right? And just sit there and wait and hope your opponent goes, I'm gonna put my created card right here. Like, that's not going to happen. So being an activate, it's stupid. I'm sorry. It's double plastic. I can't even talk about it anymore.
And as a creator, this card's gonna be so hard to build around. Like, maybe a Fenris Wolf deck, but like, what do you do with this? So it's not even a good tech card.
No, what I'm gonna think about doing, which is stupid, but doing some try to Viper over a created card just to destroy it and then do something else with it. Like, I mean, that's the only thing I can think about because you want to have Cobra do the thing. What you mean?
It won't even do it because it has to be a created card that's created by one of the 12 cards in your enemy's deck, not one that you created and sent to their side of the board.
Well, can you not Moon Girl? Oh, does it freaking matter? Forget it. I'm not even busting up my head. Yeah. What are we gonna do with this card? We're gonna do G.I. Joe songs with it. That's what I plan to do then. G.I. Joe memes. Because this makes no sense what we're gonna do with this card. We hope by time it comes out, Second Dinner has a note. I know it's not. I don't know. All right. So anything else you guys want to say about Cobra?
No.
Cobra, bad. Kid Omega, good.
Good. That's it. Perfect. All right. So let's go ahead and let's talk about the Golden Gauntlet 2. That's happening this weekend as of this recording, happening tomorrow. If you guys didn't sign up yet, by the time you listen to this, you might have some time. Wait, no, you will not have any. Might have an hour. Either way, go ahead and try to sign up. We'll leave a link down below. You might have an hour to sign up. Go ahead and do so. And of course, if you are already signed up and you were one of the wonderful chosen to be in the event, you have to go ahead and submit your decks by 6 p.m.
9 p.m. EST.
Sorry, 6 p.m. because you guys been doing it early so you don't make a mistake. Do it around 7 p.m. Eastern, even 8. But yes, you do have until 9 p.m. nonetheless. But go ahead and do that as well. And if you haven't registered yet and you were chosen, shame on you. Shame on you. Go ahead and sign up. It's very simple. Go into the Discord /register. What's the /? The one with the top end pointing that way. Register. Go ahead and get registered. Get ready to go. It's going to be a great event. Make sure you guys have a blast with it. Have some fun as always. Can't wait to see what decks you guys bring. It's going to be epic. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to let these guys talk about the fun we've had to get this event to up and running for this weekend. Gunny.
Fun is certainly a way to put it. I really have been enjoying it, though. We have thousands of people in the event server, and it's so cool. Not only are competitors in there, but just people like cheering people on. We have something we call the danger room in there, where players are just like testing out decks together and hanging out and chatting. The vibes in there are so great. I've had like 2 conversations that I've had to stop just because they were maybe getting a little out of hand or something, but like nothing, like there's been no like real harsh vibes in there. Like everybody is just so psyched about this. This event is so cool. People love, I mean, a little behind the scenes, we weren't expecting a Golden Gauntlet 2 to happen so quickly, but apparently it obviously did so well that they wanted to kick it back immediately. And that is due to all of you that either participated in Golden Gauntlet 1 or watched Golden Gauntlet 1. And this is just the start. If they're already talking about making changes to cards due to tournaments, I don't see that an end in sight. I don't think this is the last tournament we're going to see. It is amazing. It is so cool. It has been a ton of work. All of us, including Models. Models. I think he might be working the hardest. Like I'm scared for his health. Man, he is so awesome. Like we have streamlined the process more. Models would have loved to have a little bit more time to work on the bots to make it even better, but like we're getting there. And all of us have lost sleep over this. Like we're working hard, believe me. And this is going to be so cool. I can't wait. It's going to be 1,200 people playing Marvel Snap. That's phenomenal. The largest Marvel Snap tournament in history.
Guess how you feeling? Ready to cast your life away? Because the last one, epic casting by you, KM Best, myself. It was a phenomenal time. Everybody loved the casting, and I think that plays a big role in the entertainment aspect of these type of events. Because if your casting is boring, the event's boring. So,
and we even have more casters this time.
Oh, we do. We do.
Yeah,
I'm gonna let guests talk about it.
Yeah, I'm really excited to bring both Banks and Teebs into this because they have completely different approaches as well as different analytics in the sense of like how they look at, what they match up against in their own experiences, and then how they assess the gameplay is, like I know how I cast, obviously. I've been doing it enough and I feel comfortable casting, but I like learning from others, and I've casted alongside Banks before, and there are definitely moments I've taken from him. I've never personally casted with Teebs, but the breakdowns that follow through every time Teebs goes into a breakdown, it is really interesting to see the assessment, especially when you're looking on like the nitty gritty stuff in an actual like game match decision. So incredibly smart player as well. So I think their dynamic is going to reflect very similarly to what, we put together, the 3 of us, on the first Golden Gauntlet. And we even took it a step further this time because it's not just our casting.
Nope.
We have international casters that are casting it in officially sponsored international casters that will be rebroadcasting the tournament as well in their native language, and they will also have some special fun things for their communities and their chats, just like how on our broadcast we're going to have some special fun things. And what else
can we talk about? Can we talk about it?
We can just simply say we will have some special fun things.
Okay.
I don't want to give away too much because later today that this podcast comes out will be the further information in regards to which channels, as well as maybe what some of those things may possibly be and why you definitely want to be tuning into one of the official broadcasts, because we are going to take back Twitch on Sunday. And
taking back Twitch.
It's going to be absolutely bananas, followed by spelling of the word. It is, look, we've all put a lot of work into this one, and I think it definitely feels that way just because preparing for Golden Gauntlet 1, that was a process that took months to do.
Right.
Literally months to do, between the amount of meetings that all of us had in different varieties. Like, we'd be on Discord calls with Second Dinner and Legal and driving home and, put it into the speakers of the car and the Bluetooth. And then we're also coming and having late night meetings because of all of our time zones. And it's the amount of work that went into GG1 was astronomical. And then for them to turn around and say, it went really well, can we have another one in 2 weeks? All of us were like,
it wasn't even
the groundwork's, yeah. It was like 10 days. Yeah.
10 days.
Yeah, 10 days.
And we figured out, how can we make it better? How can we scale it triple the size? Yep. And that all of those decisions of how we were going to be able to create this, we literally made in one night. And then we rolled it all out within 24 hours. And then we were ready to go by that Friday. Like, it was just, the process has been absolutely insane. And I think we also need to really commend, you started to, but I want to really commend the amount of work that Models has done behind the scenes, because you all don't know how much individual bot programming and creation has gone into the behind the scenes elements that make your life so much easier, as well as our lives in a variety of different ways. The amount of work he's put in to make this a better experience for, the 1,000+ players that'll be in this tournament is like, he gets so much credit that doesn't get noticed just because he doesn't have a live stream. And that's not fair, because he has put in so much work to make this event happen, and he deserves to get his praise.
So much work. This is impossible without Models. And Game On
100%,
isn't a huge
100%.
Game On isn't a huge business with a bunch of, he doesn't have a team working for him.
No.
Every bot that's doing anything was Models creating it by himself.
Yeah. Himself.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. He's gone above and beyond, and he deserves that, 15 minutes of fame moment here, 100%, because we would not be Game On without him. 100%.
And we even brought in more staff to help us out, right? We got two Ties working with us. We got Destructive, who's modding and also helping with production assistance. We got Ravage, who's going to be judging for the first time. It's going to be an amazing event.
Yes. There's like the Greek, White Wing Brady as well.
Yep.
On the Twitch side of things. Yep.
Yeah.
There's so much that's happened in the last 2 weeks. It's kind of a blur. And I'll be personally honest. There's a little tiny part of me that can't wait for this shit to be over. A little tiny part of me.
Or a little, just a little? Come on now.
Just a little. Just because we've put so much work into GG1, and I don't think we never really had recovery after GG1, and we're right into GG2. And I'm excited to see how this one is received by the community. I'm excited to see the viewership. I'm excited to see the community's response. There's so much that's going into this one that if this continues the way that we think it's going to continue, the bar is going to be even higher. And Lord knows what's going to happen to Marvel Snap, because if we got OTA changes from the last one, what's going to happen because of this one? If this one does even more, viewership, does more participation, has more of an impact on the meta, because it's what happened in the last one. The winning decks, the top 8 decks, the Derek's deck, they end up on ladder, and that changes how people play. And there's so much that happens from these events, and I'm stupid excited to see what happens now with GG2, because I don't know about you guys, but not only do I not want this series to be over, but more importantly, I have big plans for what I want to do with it personally.
Yeah. And then for everyone listening, the big plans, you, even if you're not playing, just watching the Twitch stream is such a huge help. Because that is, obviously Second Dinner's a business. They need a return on investment. They need to see something come out of it. A business can't afford to just give out and then not get anything in return. Like, advertising is obviously a piece of it. But, the more people that are watching this, the more support we get, the more people in the community just say, hey, we love this. That is what's going to drive the investors, the people over the top of even the employees, to tell them that they want this to happen again.
Agreed. Totally agree. These guys are saying exactly that. What I'm really excited for is the the psychic powers that we have here on this wonderful podcast. What I mean by that is, on the last podcast we mentioned, would it be awesome if the last match was 2 mobile players, so that we can push forward the agenda of we need spectator mode? And what happened, guys? The last 2 match players were mobile players. That is something that you can only do here on the Snapcast podcast, ladies and gentlemen. So what do we think is going to happen in this tournament that we are going to predict right now that will come to fruition?
I think we all need to answer one question, and that is, what is our prediction for what's going to win? Because that's what everybody wants to know. What do we think? So my take on it is it's going to be another all gas deck like Bounce. I think it's something that can just get lucky enough, like Derek did, to not queue into something that crushed him, right? And it's, you have to be able to answer my problems, and if you can't, you lose, right? A tech deck will have a bad matchup. A combo deck will just not draw its combo enough times. You can realistically, there's going to be 13 players that are either undefeated or have a 9-1 record. That's 3 slots that are going to be open to players that go to 8-2, and there's going to be about 50 of them. So you can realistically only lose 1 time to know you're in.
I mean, it's hard to say what I think is going to win. I know what prediction we can say. I'm going to say is we're not going to see a lot of Thanos decks this time. I'll tell you that much. But as far as what's going to win, I mean, listen, I don't think Bounce wins again. I don't think that happens again. I think people might come prepared this time for Bounce. I really strongly believe Discard may pull it off.
And Discard's another.
Yeah, I think Bullseye, Discard deck with any of the new cards that's come out this week, I think that's going to take it for sure.
And that's another good example of what I mean. It's an all gas deck, something that's just not running a lot of tech cards, right? It's just something that puts enough points up and says you have to answer me.
You got to stop my Bullseye. Yeah, if you don't got Luke Cage, game over, right?
Luke Cage, you don't got Mobius.
Yeah, I agree with you. So yeah, I think Discard, Bullseye takes it.
And I think Guest called this out earlier too. Merlin. I don't think Merlin is a good deck for this kind of tournament.
I don't think Merlin's good for any type of conquest. No, of course not. It's good for ladder. Big surprise, right? Get the surprises out. I don't think it's going to be good in that conquest or battle mode. So guess who you think is winning the tournament? What style of deck?
The winner of Golden Gauntlet 2 will be Agamotto.
Then that means Merlin is winning.
Not necessarily, but it will be an Agamotto deck.
Wow.
All right, you heard it here.
Wow. I want to change my answer to Pixie Infinite. But yeah, that's great.
Pixie deck made top 8 last time, right?
I love Pixie, so I would love to see Pixie, Kale, Infinite in that deck. You guys bring that, I'm rooting for you guys the entire time. Now we're going to discuss a few comments from the last episode. I'm just going to pick 2 because, we've been talking for a while now. I know you guys are ready to get pumped and excited for this weekend. We're going to kick off with Nico Power that says, I'm so excited for the next gauntlet now that Thanos got nerfed. Naka and Derek match was insane. So based on that comment, guys, if Thanos got nerfed before Gauntlet 1, is that match still as good or is it different?
I don't think that match ends up being the final. I think the fact that
that's a good statement,
because I don't think Thanos would have made it to the final, and I don't think that Derek would have brought that deck. Derek specifically brought that deck because it's a non-interactive deck, and he's able to bounce around what the majority of Thanos decks would be doing, literally.
Yeah.
So
and
I think it's a whole nother thing. I
love that. Okay, all right. And then the next comment was being in UK base. I couldn't watch the Gauntlet live. I did watch the last 2 hours, which was a great show. No idea this was viable, but a match of the day style. Not sure of the US equivalent. Round up the key matches and the final. What would be commentary would be great to watch. Keep up the great work. All right. So I'm assuming some of the language barrier stuff was here, but nonetheless, they're basically saying they were UK based, so they couldn't see the gauntlet live. Hopefully, because of the time shift that we're doing a bit earlier, they are able to watch it. Who knows? But hopefully they can. Nonetheless, they had a great time watching it. They didn't know this was actually viable. They loved the key matches ending up the final round, and the commentary was great. Keep up the great work. We appreciate that. Thank you very much for that comment. Now, guys, again, leave a comment down below. We'll definitely go ahead and read it on the next episode. And again, before we leave, make sure you guys go ahead and check out the Golden Gauntlet 2. It's going to be epic. Streaming live this Sunday on the wonderful official Marvel Snap channel at 10 a.m. Right? That's his kickoff time,
Eastern.
guys. Eastern time. That's right,
Eastern.
10 a.m. Eastern. So it's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. I cannot wait. I am pumped. We'll leave a bunch of links down below for you guys to go ahead and check it out. Anything you guys want to say before we head out?
I'm sleepy.
Yes. That's a great thing to say. I'm giving you a shirt that says I'm sleepy.
Agamotto.
I love it.
Agamotto.
Listen, we'll see what happens, guys. That's going to be
Okay.
great. I would love to see that match.
All gas, no brakes.
Wow. There it is. All right, guys. Peace.